Well, hey everyone, I'm Nick and welcome back to Sci-Finatics. We're talking about episode 5 today of Star Trek Lower Decks Season 4 entitled Empathalogical Fallacies. This episode saw a bunch of Betazoid party girls come on board the Cerritos, cause a bit of havoc, underhanded dealings going on, a bit of chaos going on. This episode was maybe a little bit more all over the shop than previous episodes of Lower Decks. It wasn't chock full of laughs, out loud moments that would, generally be in most Lower Decks episodes. I kind of felt like this one was just a little bit scattered in its plot and potentially its execution as well. There were some interesting gags in there, interesting references and so forth, and a little bit of history and everything. But I kind of found that most of this episode, it was just a lot of chaos going on without kind of what seemed like too much plot. But we're going to take a look through the episode and see what little interesting bits and pieces it had to offer and do the usual breakdown of that. Well, for starters, we've got 3 Betazoids coming on board the ship. They're the Cerritos is transporting them from Angel 1 to Risa. We all know Risa being the resort or holiday planet in the Federation, but Angel 1 was that planet we saw in Season 1 of Next Generation. There was all a very matriarchal society. Riker had to dress up in some sort of skimpy outfit and had a bit of a fling with the Prime Minister or the boss lady of the society from memory. And the Betazoids seem to be causing a bit of ruckus on board the Cerritos while they're being transported. We don't get Betazoids as developed characters in Star Trek very often. I think the last reasonably developed Betazoid character we got in Star Trek was Lon Suda, the psychopathic serial killer in Voyager. We haven't had any new Betazoid characters for quite a while, so I guess it's a refreshing change. We've got all sorts of drinking going on and everything on board the ship. We find out that a bit of trivia is that apparently Caitians used to hunt and eat Betazoids, according to Dr. Ta'ana. Interesting little factoid there. This apparently used to go on, many, many centuries ago, I guess. But nonetheless, a somewhat disturbing piece of information there about the history between the Caitians and the Betazoids. Bit of a party atmosphere on board the ship. Everyone's going a bit crazy. Everyone's emotions are very, very heightened, very out there. Meanwhile, there's no comms on board the ship. Tillin's trying to send a message to a previous CO on board the Vulcan vessel, but can't get messages through. And something's going on board the ship that's causing just a lot of chaos and mayhem amongst the crew. Now, it's soon speculated that the cause of all this drama on board the Cerritos is potentially being caused by our 3 Betazoid females having Xanthi Fever. Now, if you don't remember what Xanthi Fever was, it was in that episode of Deep Space Nine, the one where Loxana Troi guest starred in that episode. Xanthi Fever was a virus that targeted the empathic abilities of mature Betazoids. It caused the Betazoid to project their own emotions onto others, but only those individuals where a latent propensity for that emotion was present. So in that Fascination episode of DS9, where there was like a Bajoran gratitude festival going on, we had Loxana Troi projecting her feelings for Odo, and Jake Sisko had feelings for Major Kira, and Vedic Bareil had feelings for Dax, and Dax became attracted to Sisko, and Bashir went after Kira, and Quark went after Keiko O'Brien. So it's interesting that they choose to sort of resurrect this kind of Betazoid virus from that DS9 episode, or what they think was that virus from DS9, but I guess it's an interesting callback to that episode. Meanwhile, Boimler's struggling to remember kind of crewman names, and Shax takes him aside to go and play charades and do poetry and stuff in a hidden room somewhere on board the ship. Which all seems a bit random. We've got, poetry going on about Worf and about Odo and everything. And we soon find out that our Betazoid females are a bit sneaky. They're part of the Bajoran intelligence. But we find out that the Xanthi Fever, which we thought was the culprit for all the craziness going on board the Cerritos, was in fact Bendi Syndrome, which was another similarly empathic disease, which we saw in the TNG episodes Sarek and unification. There was Ambassador Sarek, Spock's dad, was suffering from Bendi Syndrome, and he was projecting his emotional distress and so forth onto other people, causing quite a bit of chaos on board the Enterprise back in that incident. So kind of, very similar sort of empathic diseases, one being Bajoran, one being Vulcan. Seen in past episodes, being spoken about in this episode as the potential cause of all the chaos that's going on. And it seems that T'Lyn was the one that was broadcasting this Bendi Syndrome, but I'm not quite sure how this was the case, because T'Lyn said she was quite young for a Vulcan, I think 62 or 3 she said she was, but normally this Bendi Syndrome only affects Vulcans over the age of 200, that sort of Sarek was back when it happened on board the Enterprise there. So I'm not sure why she experienced it in such a young age for Vulcans, and it didn't seem to be causing her any distress or anything at all. It just seemed to be affecting other people. So this aspect of the plot in this episode kind of just seemed like it sort of didn't make sense to me, or they didn't really explain exactly what was going on quite clearly and why it was going on. They just sort of name-dropped a few of these diseases and then just moved along with the story, and it's like, oh, hang on, what? Meanwhile, Boimler's kind of gone through slam poetry and charades, and now he's moved on to tarot cards, doing some tarot readings or something. It's like this whole B-plot thing with Boimler just was a complete waste of time. I just didn't feel it added anything to the episode at all. The Betazoids try to divert the Cerritos through the neutral zone to get back to Beta Z, but Freeman's worried that they're going to, take a shortcut through the neutral zone and upset a few Romulans. But they managed to slam on the brakes and turn around just in time before that happens, thanks to the security team that takes them down. Although it was quite funny, I thought, the Romulan warbird decloaking and being quite disappointed that they're lurking on the edge of the neutral zone, didn't garner any results on this particular occasion. It just sort of seems like there's Romulans and a warbird everywhere along the neutral zone, just ready to decloak and cause a bit of trouble and surprise unwilling victims or whatever coming a bit too close to their territory. The end of the episode garnered the Betazoids giving up a bit of intel about this mystery ship that's been taking out races of Klingons and Romulans and Orions and everything over the previous weeks, doing a bit more investigation about that. I'm kind of surprised we're kind of this far into the season, yet we haven't really garnered any great investigative work or learned any more about what's going on with this mystery ship that's causing trouble throughout the Alpha Quadrant. Hopefully next episode will shed a bit more light on what's going on there. All in all, I kind of felt this was a bit of just an average episode. I didn't feel the whole Betazoids bringing the whole party atmosphere to the Cerritos really sort of did anything, hilariously funny. The plot just seemed to, didn't seem to really go anywhere particularly interesting. I think there was a few gags thrown in here and there about drinking and getting drunk and going crazy and all that sort of stuff, and everything. But at the end of the day, I didn't really get engaged by the plot from this episode. I just think it was just a bit of chaos and a bit of mess all over the place, if you ask me. But you might have thought something different. Leave your thoughts in the comments section and let me know what your thoughts on this episode were. If you haven't subscribed to Sci-Finatics yet, be sure to do so. Click on that big subscribe button to stay current and up to date with all the latest Star Trek news on YouTube. And be sure to check out my merch in the merch store, links in the description, where you can pick up all kinds of cool Star Trek t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, caps, stickers, you name it, it's all there. Cool designs done by myself. Think yourself a bargain. Help support the channel. Much appreciated. I'll be back really soon with my next video. I'll catch you guys soon.